During this video, I will be discussing with you one of the best advices that I received as a beginner trader that helped me improve as a trader completely and changed my mindset as how I approach trading. And that is using multiple time frames to evaluate if a trade is good. And what I did as a beginner trader, I wanted to be scalping and essentially using the lower time frames to be getting in and out of the market as quickly as possible and getting the most of the market. And that's why I thought it would be great, because I didn't have the patience as a beginner to be waiting patiently for moves to happen, and basically only exclusively looked at the 5 minute or the 15 minute, depending on how I felt on the day. And that is completely wrong, because what you see on the 5 minute, let's say, is very limited in comparison to the bigger view. So using higher time frames allows you to have a better view of how prices has been moving in the last, let's say, few days, few hours, and will give you a better idea of where price is going to be headed. So if I have this 5 minute time frame, you'll see I don't see much here. And if I were to draw, let's say, my support and resistance zones, I wouldn't be given much. So let's say I will draw something around this area once, and let's say at the top right here would be another. And this would be what I would draw if I were to only be looking at this time frame. So something along the lines of this. And that was not very clever, because I ignored what was happening in the high time frames. So if I were to go back to the daily, so changing to the daily, you'll see a major difference on how you would be drawing the actual support and resistance zones. So what I would usually do is, after I've been given that advice, I would start off my trading session going at the dailies of each time frame and looking at, let's say, where the price is and what levels are close to that. So I'll just remove these zones, because as you can see, they're not very accurate in comparison to the daily. So starting off at the daily, I'll be using this as my starting point and drawing levels at this area. So you can see this kind of downtrend on this area right here. So price descending and reacting multiple times onto this area right here. So that is one very strong trend line. As you can see, it reacted multiple times on that. And another thing that you're going to be noticing is this area right here that was respected again multiple times from the pattern. So you can see up and down of and bouncing off and causing a reversal from this level. So through this, I was able to identify two strong levels from the higher time frames to be able to use that onto my lower time frames and be able to make more accurate predictions of where the price is going to be heading. So I'm not going to be looking too far back. I don't want to be looking way too far on the high time frames, because let's say this price right here might be from 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I don't really care all that much about that. I want to be looking at more recent prices mostly. And okay, so after looking at the daily, I'm going to be dropping slowly onto the lower time frame. So I'm not looking at the 4 hours usually, then the 1 hour, and make adjustments depending on what strategy I'm going to be using. So on the 4 hours, you can see a little bit more detail onto these levels that I've been using before. So you can see in the middle, you'll see this level right here that was reacted upon multiple times, starting from the left hand side. So around this area right here, started as a resistance and started support, etc. So you can see this level being reacted upon multiple times and causing the price to be respecting the price respected this zone right here. So through using multiple time frames, I'm able to identify which zones have been respected the most and use those zones accordingly. So you can see that price was at the is currently at the zone that I've marked right now, and obviously I would usually draw a box for this instead of just a line, because you can see that the zone is not actually just one line. It's basically a zone which is larger than a line, but for simplicity I'm going to use the line for now. So using higher time frame, I was able to identify the zone which I wasn't able to see, let's say, on the 5 minute, which was obviously not as easy to spot. But you can see that price did react on this level eventually, but I couldn't see that earlier on. So as you can see that I don't have the premium plan, but you can see using the higher time frames, I'm able to see how price was reacting on these levels and be able to more accurately predict of where price is going to be heading towards. So using multiple time frames is basically a very essential thing regardless of what strategy are you going to be using. And this is especially true for beginners who try to scalp their way to profits, because I see people trying to focus on one time frame, let's say the 5 minute, thinking, okay, I'm going to be using only this time frame and ignore the rest. You cannot do that. You need to always be aware of the higher time frames and where price is going to be heading. And I usually apply the moving averages as well for those time frames to be able to see how price was reacting. So if I were to go onto the daily, for example, you will see that uh, price before on this level right here was reacting onto the uh, moving averages, which caused this downtrend. So that is one thing that really helped me out and it helped me clear my mind on what things are important and what things are not, because the zones that you may be seeing on a lower time frame, let's say the 5 minute time frame, will be basically only be seen by the scalpers who only trade on the 5 minute, but the higher time frames are almost visible from every um, time frame. So that is why they're usually stronger. So higher time frame levels are most likely going to be respected than the lower time frames. So this is one of the best advice that I received, and hopefully you found this useful if you weren't aware of this, and if you were trading, let's say, on a single time frame, which is usually not the best idea. So hopefully you found this useful. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe on the channel, and have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.